So I wanted to do a quick video about how the modern gang stalking phenomenon is being used to revive the satanic panic, as well as things like QAnon are being used to revive the satanic panic. It's literally same thing, but different in some ways. Although not really, because it's the same. They're trying to make this specter of Satanists, but now they're adding more into the Freemason area. See, in the 1980s and 90s, the Freemasons were not really that much more, weren't really that heavily involved in the conspiracy theories of these people. People that watch my channel know my experiences with organized harassment. I'm trying not to use the term gang stalking because I think that it has some connotations to psychotic people. But are they psychotic? Or are they Christian agents working to bring people into the fold? Now, a lot of people, and I'm going to leave links to two of them. The one is Chili Tomb, and the other is The Mechanic, who are two people that were drawn to my channel by my videos on gang stalking. Both are vehemently anti-Masonic. What people don't understand is everything that the Satanists and now the Masons are being accused of by people that are either conservative or Christian-oriented. These things were committed by the Catholic Church primarily, and also by the Evangelical Church, and there will be links in the description. A lot of the things that people accuse Satanists of doing, like being in charge of the government and manipulating the government, the Catholic Church does that with money. In fact, in New Jersey, they spent over $10 million to keep legislation from being passed to protect the victims of sexual abuse. Why would they do that? Well, duh, they're committing sexual abuse, as you will find in the grand jury testimony of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which I've left like 2 or 3 links to that, so that there's a long version, a short version, and a text version, so that people can understand what's really going on in the Catholic Church. And if you actually look at the description of the behaviors that were being performed by these sexual abusers in the Catholic Church, they were things like defiling the cross, forcing girls to have abortions, forcing girls that they had gotten pregnant to have abortions, which was somewhat what was alluded to in Satanism, but they were calling it human sacrifices, that they were using women as breeders to commit human sacrifices. Mind you, there's never been any evidence of any organized religious Satanist group committing acts like this, except for the very recent Order of Nine Angles, which is actually, I would not say at all affiliated with the modern Church of Satan or First Satanic Church, which are both LaVeyan Satanism. My point is that in the 1980s and 90s, the use of fear to encourage conversion to Christianity by the masses, which is nothing new. Nothing new at all, but this was done by the Catholic Church and the evangelicals in the 80s and 90s, and they were trying to use the fear of Satan. Satan's coming to get you. There's a Satanist behind every mailbox. Everyone's a Satanist. Your school teachers are Satanists. Your police are Satanists. The FBI are Satanists. The postman's a Satanist. The milkman's a Satanist. The Satanists are Satanists. Your pastor's a Satanist. Now, the thing is, that was used to terrify people into converting to Christianity. And you had a lot of really ridiculous, quote, recovered memories where children were led into lying about things under a hypnotic trance. I mean, it was really, really kind of crazy, but that's exactly what's going on now. And I wonder how much of the gang stalking is not necessarily promoted. Now, I know what's happening to me, and it's not what's happening to me is not being done by evangelicals. I know who's doing what they're doing to me. I know who's harassing me. the problem is it's not very easy to prove. A lot of it's online, which makes it difficult to prove. And what happens in reality, I've reported to the police, and there's nothing they can really do. I mean, the thing is, if it's not happening in front of the cop, there's not really much they can do because there's no way for me to prove anything. So if I don't see anything and the police don't see anything, there's nothing that can be done. Simply because something had happened, there's something happened, but that doesn't show who did the something. Okay, so that's the issue I'm having. I know who's doing that, and it's not the evangelical church or the Catholic church or the Freemasons or the Satanists or the Sky People or anybody like that. I know very well who that is, and they know I know who they are. But more importantly, what you need to understand is that this is nothing new to the Christians, the Catholics and the Christians, using this to gain converts to their cult, their child abuse cult. And when I say this, I'm not talking about the organized religions. Well, actually, in the Catholic Church, in the case of the Catholic Church, I am. But I'm not talking about individual Christians or individual Catholics. I'm talking about these mega churches and the Catholic Church, the Vatican, and the sanctioning of sexual abuse. Or if not the outright sanctioning of it, the covering up of sexual abuse. And the use of church funds to pay for things like abortions and things like this, which is all in the description. And it was found in the Pennsylvania grand jury investigation into the Catholic Church, where the statutes of limitations were weighted out in order to avoid prosecution. And this is not just happening in this country. This happens all throughout Latin America, all throughout Europe. Joseph Goebbels, when he was the Minister of Propaganda in the German Reich, he actually created a pamphlet to inform everyone in the world. It was written in all the languages of the world, German, Japanese, Chinese, Spanish, and had it distributed all around the world to show the people of the world, get these people out of your country. They're harming your children. They're harming your countries. And what was funny is some Catholics have compared what the Attorney General of Pennsylvania did to what Joseph Goebbels did. Well, that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. And what's funny is the Attorney General of Pennsylvania is a Jewish gentleman. His name's Shapiro. But regardless, that's a good thing if you compare him to Goebbels, because what Goebbels was doing was trying to protect the children of the world from pedophiles that are rampant in the Catholic Church. In fact, the outrage in Germany got so bad because they were prosecuting the Catholic priests that Hitler had to hold a press conference stating that what he wanted people, and remind you, people were accusing Hitler of being anti-Catholic. Hitler was a devout Catholic. In fact, he was such a devout Catholic, at one time he was to become a priest. I would say, if not the majority, 50% or probably just under 50% of the Nazi high command were devout Catholics. And the rest were Lutherans. So, or other types of Christian, like evangelical or what have you, but that all fell under the umbrella of positive Christianity. But the point is that these people were not anti-Catholic. They were anti-pedophile. But they're anti-Catholic. And if you look in the 1980s and 90s, you'll see all these accusations made against the Church of Satan, who was at the time represented by Zena LaVey. Nothing was true. None of it was true. I know for a fact because I was a LaVeyan Satanist for a good portion of my life. Okay? From basically birth to the age of 25-ish when I decided to start embracing scientific pantheism. But Satanism is literally against animal sacrifice, child sacrifice, human sacrifice in general. It's against all of that. It says it right in the, quote, Satanic Bible, not to sound like the Church of Satan, who sound like Bible thumpers now. Did you read the Satanic Bible? Yes, I did, and that's not what it says. But my point is, My point is, what you need to keep in mind is a lot of the accusations made against Satanists and now being made against, and it's actually funny that they're bringing the Freemasons into it. Why do I find that funny? Satanism, though not LaVeyan Satanism, but Satanism as per the Satanic Temple, which is this new hipster, in vogue Satanism with a lisp and a blind eye, with the Baphomet statues and all this stuff. That is a new thing, and it's very in your face. That's why I think it's funny that they're bringing the Masons into it, because you don't have to bring the Masons into it. Satanism's right out there, like never before. Satanism, or at least people calling themselves Satanists, is out there like never before. It's out loud and proud, okay? So I think it's funny that they're even wasting time. And the Satanic Temple, unlike LaVeyan Satanism, is very ridiculously liberal and counterculture. Like, whereas the Church of Satan was law and order and predominantly conservative until recently, very conservative until recently, the Satanic Temple is out there loud, proud, pro this and pro that, and very much pro-abortion, whereas, as I've stated in the past, if you read the Satanic Bible, LaVey was not pro-abortion and was extremely law and order. But you have this Satanic Temple out there now with the Baphomet statues at the courthouses and all this crap. You have that out there, so I don't see why they're even bothering bringing the Masons into it, because it seems like unnecessary to bring them in. But they used to be brought in, and there's a book called Behold a Pale Horse that I was made aware of. My father used to own, and the guy that wrote it was allegedly a Navy SEAL named Bill Cooper or William Cooper. And the guy I don't think he was lying or fabricating things. I think he was actually psychotic. But if you read the book, it's bits and pieces of various theories, and none of them actually go together if you actually read the book. But what caught me by surprise was he was very much against Lieutenant Colonel Aquino of the United States Army and the head of the Psychiatric Warfare Department of the United States Army, who was also one of the was the founding member of the Temple of Set, but he was also the one that was, again, charged with these ridiculous crimes and accusations about all these. Now, he's dead now, although it's going around the internet that he's not really dead. He faked his own death and all. No, he died, unfortunately. He was a very interesting character. But luckily, before he died, he published a lot of books on things like, he has Mind War, Mind Star, Go Far, or something like that. But luckily he had published a lot of books before his passing, and but the thing is, so that what he learned from his occult teachings can actually be purchased and understood. But I think what's important to understand is these accusations are all false. If you want to see real proof of real people molesting children and harassing people, in fact, oh my gosh, what's his name? Tom Metzger, on his show Race and Reason, had a gentleman on that had a show called The Age of Logic and Reason. And I looked for the video and I couldn't find it. If I take another look and I find it, I'll put the link in the description. I think they took down all of Metzger's videos, but what's important to understand, this gentleman, these mega churches, particularly in like California and Texas, they have people that are crusaders, that are crazy enough to go attack people in the name of Jebus. Okay? And this gentleman had his truck blown up by born-agains because he was speaking out against the born-again religion, because the born-again religion is essentially a totalitarian religion that wants everything to fall lockstep with it. So, I mean, if you really want to see where the crimes are being committed, it's not Satanists, it's evangelicals and Catholics. Period. That's where it's coming from. That's where the proof is. Or you can keep pushing these half-assed, lunatic stories of Freemasons and Satanists and all this stuff. Now, are there people that have committed murders in the name of Satan? Of course. Of course there are. There's people that have committed murders in the name of Jeebus, too. Okay? Like the ones that murder the abortion doctors. Okay? Now, what you need to keep in mind, also people that support the death penalty. I'm anti-death penalty. Because I think that it goes against the morality of a civilized country like the United States. But many Christians, although many are also anti-death penalty, but many Christians are pro-death penalty. What about the consumption of meat? A lot of Christians eat meat, which is against the biblical teachings of the dietary food laws. Okay, I mean. So you really do have to weigh everything out and take into understanding. You got to understand the fact that the hypocrisy, the crimes, the fiddling with our government, this is not coming from Satanism and Freemasonry. Or if it is, it's not to the same extent as it is from the evangelicals and the Catholics. And people go, well, there's a lot of Masons in the government. I guarantee you there's more Christians and Catholics in the government than there are Masons. If you look at our Supreme Court is entirely Jewish and Catholic. I'm not going to bring up the Jewish stuff because my videos get taken down when I do that. But if you look up the circumcision rituals and look up oral copulation and circumcision, Orthodox Judaism, and you'll see what I'm talking about with that one. But my point is if you look at where the crimes are being committed and the debauchery is being committed and the inhumane treatment of children is being committed and the human trafficking is being committed, it is not Satanists or Freemasons. And by pushing these crazy conspiracy theories, they're harming the credibility of truly targeted individuals. And that's all for this video.